every day is a new day. Every moment is a new moment. Do not let one mistake keep you from progressing. It made me okay with letting people take advantage of me. It made me okay with settling for less. Anymore. I am not that person anymore. It wasn't directly how I looked, but it was how the way that I looked influenced the way that I thought of myself. And I didn't feel like I was worth a lot because I thought it was okay to settle for less and to be treated like less, and that's just what I deserved. And I really didn't know it's who I was for so long that I forget. Sometimes I forget about the things that I'm capable of now. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. So, I have decided to talk about my weight loss, health, fitness journey today. It was something I didn't think I was going to talk about for a while because, I don't know, I feel like I spent like my whole life having my weight define me, and finally it's something I don't think about all the time. So when I first started this channel, a couple people were like, oh, you could talk about your weight loss journey. People would love to hear about it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know, like, is that always me? Does that always have to be me? Does it always have to be what I'm about? And then I realized that, yeah, my weight loss journey actually is me. It is what I'm about because it made me who I am today. So maybe it's not something I fixate on anymore. Maybe it's something that I wish maybe wasn't known by to everybody. Maybe I wish that everybody didn't know that I used to be the fat girl and now I run. But then I realized, my running coach and friend had said something to me once about, you're an athlete now. You're not like the fat girl anymore. And it took me a minute to realize, you're right, I'm not that anymore, but it's who I was for so long that I forget. Sometimes I forget about the things that I'm capable of now. I forget that I am not who I used to be, but I still have some of the mental struggles that I did as an overweight adolescent, teen, college girl. Those things are still things that creep into my mind, and I have to remember, like, I am not that person anymore. I know that body positivity is, a huge deal, and yes, you should love yourself no matter what, and you should treat yourself nice no matter what. Being overweight for so long made me think of myself a certain way. It made me think of myself as not worthy or not capable. It made me mentally weak. It made me allow other people to treat me as less than I was. It made me okay with letting people take advantage of me. It made me okay with settling for less. And those are things that I don't do anymore. I am not that person anymore. And losing weight, the biggest thing that it did for me was made me confident. It made me the confident, strong, capable person that I am today. And there's no going around that. I have that journey to thank for who I am today. So today I wanted to talk about my journey, how I lost 100 pounds twice, how I finally maintained it, and how I'm finally happy. It was not an easy road. Basically, since 2011, I've been on this journey, so about 9 years now, and it took me 9 years to finally be happy. So first I'm going to talk about the first time I decided to lose weight and why, and how I gained it back, and kind of the feelings I had in that time that I did gain it back, and then why I decided to lose weight the second time initially, and then what that weight loss journey became. So let's talk about why I lost weight the first time. So 2011, I was a college student about halfway through my undergrad, and about years into low self-esteem, low self-worth, and letting, honestly, men treat me terribly. I don't know if I would call them men in college, boys, treat me terribly. And, at the time, I blamed them. These people are so horrible. These guys are horrible. These guys are so bad to me. But, I let it happen. I let myself be okay with accepting the poor treatment that I got. And all of those things are part of who I am today. So, of course, like I said, I was overweight. I was overweight in really my whole life. In high school, I didn't really get on the scale a lot, I feel like. I remember in high school I wanted to play football. Actually, I loved playing football with the guys during my brother's football games, and I really wanted to play. And then I didn't, because I realized that you had to put your weight on the roster, so that was a no. I did discus and shot put in 7th and 8th grade, and I wanted to do it in 9th grade, and I, for some reason, thought that if I did, my weight would have to be on the roster. I don't remember what I weighed at that time, but I remember that that wasn't the thing I wanted. I remember having to get my driver's license and lying about my weight because I didn't want everybody, you know, they show off their licenses when you get them, and I didn't want everybody to see my real weight. And I believe that I was probably about 230 pounds when I graduated high school. I did play basketball, and I threw discus and shot put, and I went to state in discus, and I loved sports, but I remember my basketball coach making basically comments about how it was my own fault that I had to ride the bench because and I'm getting really emotional for some reason. Because I would need to lose weight in order to basically be better, and so it was my own fault. Even though I always tried really hard, I did the best that I could, it didn't seem to be enough. One second. Okay, I'm back. I didn't really think I was going to get emotional, but maybe it's been a really long time since I said any of this stuff out loud, or maybe I haven't. So basically, I was told that it was my fault that I rode the bench, even though I worked really hard in practice, and was I a great shooter? No, but I did hustle on the court. I do believe I did a lot of things really well, and I tried really hard. Moved on to college, and I had a great college experience. I lived in the dorms my freshman year. I went to Boise State, loved it there. When I got to college, I feel like I was a little more confident, but I also was seeking the attention out of like all of these guys that I don't know, they treated me badly. I guess I got a lot more attention in college from guys than I ever had in high school, and it wasn't really good attention, to be honest. Let them treat me badly and then would still hang out with them, and that was kind of a vicious cycle I feel like happened from probably like my senior year of high school until like 2008 to maybe 2012. I feel like that was a pretty vicious cycle for me. Like, I just let that keep happening. I kept getting hurt, and you know, I'm like a pretty nice person. I was like giving everything I had and never understanding why somebody didn't just want to be with me and to love me, I guess. And so I always blamed that on my weight, and I don't think it was directly my weight. It wasn't directly how I looked, but it was how the way that I looked influenced the way that I thought of myself and the way that I acted. So I didn't feel like I was worth a lot because I was so overweight. I thought it was okay to settle for less and to be treated like less, and that that's just what I deserved. And I really didn't know anything else. I didn't know I could be good at things. I didn't know that I could be overweight and still be a strong, confident person. In 2011, my sister-in-law was pregnant with my very first little nephew, and I was super excited about it. I was so excited for him to come, and for some reason, something had like popped into my head thinking about my sister-in-law's siblings, and I was like, you know, I want to play with this kid, and I want to be around for him and have fun with him. Like, I don't want to be the fat aunt. I don't know why that was something that stuck in my head, but I was like, I don't want to be the fat aunt. And then my dad had also been diagnosed with kidney failure, which had caused him to basically become very inactive and gain a lot of weight. And in order to help with the kidney failure symptoms and get healthy enough for a transplant, he had to have weight loss surgery. And so I lived in San Diego with my sister-in-law that summer. So this is 2011. So I had been living with her that summer, and when I came back, my dad was getting this surgery, and I had remembered, like, in San Diego, it was so hot. Like, I live in Idaho, and I was wearing hoodies and pants in the summer, and it doesn't get super hot here, but, like, it gets pretty hot. And I would wear hoodies all the time because I was trying to cover myself up. And I remember in San Diego, it was too hot to do that, but I was still kind of covering myself up, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want this to be me. I don't want to cover myself up. I don't want to feel uncomfortable in my own skin, and I don't want to be a fat aunt. And then my dad was getting this weight loss surgery, so I was like, you know, maybe I could support my dad by eating the way that he's going to have to eat, because that's going to be really hard for him. So maybe I'll support him. Well, that's not realistic, because that would basically be starving myself. So I didn't do that. But that summer, was like August of 2011, I decided that I would get weight loss to try. There had been a couple times like in my undergrad previous to that I had tried low carb and lost like 10 pounds, but I never found myself sticking to it. There were times that I had really unhealthy eating habits and I was like, oh, maybe I just won't eat for like multiple days and then I'll lose some pounds. Yeah, there was times in high school that I attempted to do that. So I knew that low carb was something that worked for me because I had done it a couple times before. So I went on the low carb road. So I downloaded an app and I started tracking like what I was taking in, and I started tracking my weight, and I started seeing results. I was nannying at the time. The mom that I was nannying for did Weight Watchers, so they had quite a bit of like healthy options in their house, and I was welcome to any of it. I found it really hard at first because I was feeding these two little 2-year-old boys, you know, chicken nuggets and goldfish, and I found it so hard to not snack on their things. But I was being really strict, and I realized during this time, like, if I want to do something, I can do it. And I felt empowered by the fact that I was controlling my choices. I felt empowered when I said no to this piece of toast. I felt empowered when I said no to the cake, and I kind of got addicted to that. I got addicted to being able to say no and the feeling that I got when I was successful with that. So I went along with just doing low carb, and honestly, I didn't work out or anything for the first several months. So from like August 2011, my little nephew was born in September 2011, and I remember I had lost about 20 pounds by the time that he was born. I remember flying to San Diego to go see him, and my pants and everything were too big. I didn't have like anything that fit, and I thought that was super exciting. So I didn't work out during this time. I just kind of went for walks and stuff, and by like December-ish, I think I had lost like, I don't even know, it was probably like 50 pounds maybe. And then I finally was like, you know what, I feel like I should work out. Like, that's something I should add in. So I started going to Planet Fitness, and I would just do the elliptical, and then I would go in the corner. They had a little circuit, a little weight loss thing, or a little weight training circuit, like this red light, green light system. So I would go do that because I didn't really know what I was doing in the gym. And I got kind of addicted to that. I had this routine, and like I would get off at 1:30 2 days a week, and I would go to class, and then I would get off from work at 1:30, and then I would go to class, and then I would go straight to the gym. I would watch Dr. Oz, and I would do the elliptical, and I would go make my low carb meals. So by, I think it was like August of 2012, I had hit my weight loss goal. So I guess I should rewind. I started at 264 pounds, I believe, when I did my weight loss journey in 2011. And then I had got down to 164 pounds in August of 2012. So during that time, I did get more confident, and I was still, like, I was feeling better about, I guess, approaching people and dating and all of that good stuff. But I still was this fat girl in my head. And in my head, I had lost the weight, but mentally I hadn't changed. And although earlier I had said that I wanted to do it to support my dad, I wanted to do it to not be the fat aunt, I knew that a lot of it was that I wanted to do it to be accepted by boys, guys, men, whatever you call them at 20-something. I had a relationship of sorts. I don't know if that's what you would call it. I had a situation with a guy, and I was treated pretty badly and made to feel pretty badly about myself. And not that he ever said anything about my weight or anything, but basically he would never commit to me, and I blamed that on my weight. I felt like if I would have just been skinnier, then maybe it could have been something more serious. So feeling that way, I believe like a lot of the reason that I lost the weight was to look good and to be attractive to men and to hopefully find somebody to settle down with and marry, blah, blah, blah. You know, those things that you're thinking at 21, 22 years old, which is crazy to me that back then I used to think about it, because now I'm 31 and still single without kids, and I feel like that's by choice now. When I lost that weight, I kind of started dating around, and I realized like that I still was a sad person. I looked better, I got compliments from a lot of people, I felt good, but I was a sad person. First off, like, I couldn't eat anything I enjoyed. I wasn't eating cake or anything. I stayed low carb that whole time, and I slowly started adding foods that were not low carb back into my diet, and that transition is hard if you don't do it right. And so the pounds started creeping up a little bit. I remember by like March of 2013, I believe it was, I had creeped back up to like 185. And then I graduated my undergrad, and I started an actual real job that I wasn't doing like nannying and stuff anymore. And my routine had changed. I wasn't in a house all day. I was working with kids with special needs, and I was out and about in the community all day. And I was really tired and really stressed. And at the time, I was talking to somebody who was stationed overseas, so I wasn't sleeping. I was staying up like all night, and then I was getting up early, and I was so tired, so I just shoved my face during the day. I just ate muffins and candy and all of the things to try to stay awake. And eventually, over like the next year, I would say I had gained back a good portion of the 100 pounds I had lost. And then I just kind of got like lost in myself again. It was like, well, I don't really care. And it just creeped back up. Like, I didn't really notice I was gaining the weight. I guess I was having to buy new clothing here and there, but it didn't seem that obvious to me. And eventually, sometime around April 2016, I looked in the mirror and I was 269 pounds. And I was sad. Again, not that I ever got happy in between. And maybe that's why I didn't notice. Maybe I didn't notice because I didn't ever get happy. I looked good and I liked looking good, but I never felt like a happy person. So it's not like as the pounds came back, I got more and more unhappy, and therefore it was noticeable. It's just that I stayed sad and the pounds packed back on, and then I just kind of got like extra sad. So I had tried like a couple different times in this to like get back on track, and I think it was like maybe like January of 2016 that I did try to do low carb again. I did it for like a month. I lost 20 pounds. I'd done that a couple times, like with the girl that I worked with. We were using our Fitbits and tracking steps, and we were doing low carb, and we were trying to support each other, but we were like doing extreme things like the military diet. We were doing like the stupid military diet, and I tried Beachbody, and I tried all of these things, and I would lose weight, and then I would get over it. Like, I would get over the trend, and I didn't want to do it anymore. Come on. Come here. Come on. Got a buddy here. So, finally, in like April 2016, I was like, I don't want to be this person anymore. I am still sad. Why am I sad? I had gotten this little guy and my other dog, and I didn't even want to take them out for a walk. I didn't want to do anything. I had kind of lost interest in dating because I felt like I wasn't worth anybody's time, and so I had just been pretty alone. So I started to do my weight loss journey again in April of 2016, and I don't really know what was different about it this time. I had started a master's program, and I feel like I was feeling a little bit confident because of that, and I felt so lost in life. Like, I was 26 years old, and I'm just like, God, what am I even doing, you know? And so I started my weight loss journey. I got a personal trainer this time. So I think that was a huge change for me. I was like, I want to make fitness a part of this. And I don't know what made me decide that, because last time the problem was I never made moving my body a priority. I just made it all about food. And that's all I could think about was food. And I had no other focus, like nothing else to think about when I was losing this weight. So I got a personal trainer, and I worked out with him 5 days a week for a half hour, and I really started to fall in love with like the working out process. We mostly just lifted weights. It wasn't like any high cardio stuff, and I was doing push-ups on the wall, and I couldn't do a sit-up, and it was hard, but I loved that it was hard. I realized that I loved to challenge myself. I loved showing up the next day and seeing what I could do that day. Like, how am I better today? And I really started to fall in love with that instead of fixating on food. Yes, I was doing low carb, It was working for me at the time. It was making me super motivated to cook. I love to cook, so that maybe is why like changing my eating habits has always been somewhat easy for me, because I like to be innovative and find ways to cook around the way I'm eating. But I had this trainer, I had low carb, I had my dad fix me up a piece of crap bike, and I got a little trailer for my dogs, and I would take my bike around, but I wasn't really doing any cardio besides that, which was fine. So I feel like that year went pretty smoothly. I actually ended up changing jobs, so I was working a little bit less because I was able to make a little bit more money, so I cut back on my hours to focus on school and focus on myself. So I stuck with the gym. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. every single morning, well, Monday through Friday. I woke up, I went and worked out with my trainer, and I loved it. I was so in love with seeing myself change and feeling confident, and that is what I think is so great about fitness. Yeah, it can feel defeating at times, but you can always find some little progress to pat yourself on the back, and I think that's so much healthier than patting yourself on the back for saying no to a brownie. If you can pat yourself on the back because you got up at 5:30 and you showed up at the gym, that's awesome. If you can pat yourself on the back because you used 12-pound dumbbells instead of 10s today, that is awesome, and that is so much healthier to me, and I think that's what made the second journey so different. So I stuck with lifting the weights, and I kept eating low carb until so that started in April 2016, and in like January of 2017, it was my birthday dinner, and I really wanted to like go off my plan basically and not do low carb because I wanted to eat what I wanted to eat. At this point, it was about 205 pounds, so I had already lost about 65 pounds. Yeah, 64 pounds. And I didn't let myself. I got a dinner I didn't even want on my birthday because I couldn't break my plan, because I had gotten I loved being successful with eating the way I had told myself I needed to eat. And then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to have a cookie now and then. I wanted to have the dinner that I wanted to have for my birthday. And so I switched and I started tracking calories, which I know there's so many, like especially with all the body positivity today and the person that I am today, I don't do these things necessarily anymore, but they did help me get to where I was going, so I still want to talk about them. So I started tracking calories. I used my Fitbit. This is not a Fitbit anymore. I've upgraded, but I used my Fitbit and I started doing more cardio. I would go to the gym. After I went and lifted with my trainer, I would go to the elliptical, and I was also just so tired, and I was like, something's not right. I'm not feeling my body. Something doesn't feel right. I need more food. And I finally was okay with telling myself, like, okay, you need more. You need to give yourself more. Like, you're working hard. You need to make sure that you are fueling yourself. So I decided to switch to calorie counting. I didn't know anything about calories. I Googled some things. I found some 1,200 calorie plans. That sounded great. That sounded like that meant weight loss. So for about a month, I ate 1,200 calories, and I did a weigh-in with my trainer, and I told him, and he was like, you did what? You've been doing what? You didn't, what? And he was like, don't ever do that again. You're starving your body. 1,200 calories, you are burning way more than that. That is so unhealthy. So I didn't know that. I had done like the freaking cabbage soup diet, all this crap, and I've just been beating my body up. So finally I started researching calories. I started figuring out like what my caloric, like my average daily caloric burn was and how much I needed to fuel my body. And so I did start just like tracking calories on my Fitbit and eating in a deficit after I did a lot of research. I researched the different calories in different foods. I did a little bit of research on macros, and I finally started eating to fuel my body. So I was eating in a deficit, which means eating less calories than you're burning. But I felt good, and I started doing more cardio, and I felt strong, and I felt healthy, and I felt in control. Yeah, I weighed everything. I weighed everything I put into my mouth. I weighed, and that worked for me though. And it doesn't work for everybody, and that's okay. Or so I thought it worked for me. So it worked for me to lose the weight, because by about April of 2017, I was down to about 175 pounds, which at the time was my goal. So I had lost about 95 pounds and I was really excited about it. But then it was like, what now? I have focused so much on food, so much on dieting. What now? Like, what am I gonna do now? I cried. I got scared. I didn't know. I was terrified that I was gonna like gain all this weight back because what now? And then my personal trainer told me he was joining the Air Force and he was leaving, and I was like, oh my God, I don't have my diet to focus on. I don't have a trainer anymore. I'm doomed. 500 pounds, here I come. My 600-pound life, I'm the next on there. That's the way that I thought. I didn't believe in myself that I could do it on my own, and didn't believe in myself that I could just keep going and keep doing great things. So I had to sit down and have a talk with myself. Because I wondered, what now? What am I going to do now that I don't have a weight loss goal? What am I going to do now that I don't have a trainer? I can't do it on my own. I'm not capable. And I had to kind of kick myself out of that. I had to be like, you know what? You just lost 95 pounds. You can do great things. And I felt strong. I had been lifting weights. I made so much progress in the gym. I could do a real push-up. I didn't have to go on the bar anymore. I could do a real sit-up. And so I was scrolling along Facebook and I saw an ad for a gym advertising this like 8-week program to start to train for this sporting event. And I signed up and I joined this group training gym, and it changed me. I realized that competition was what I thrived off of. Before I had done it with food, right, I had made checking my food and all of that, like, that's where I got my success from. But I realized at this group training gym that I loved looking at the person next to me and trying to do as good or better than them. I loved pushing myself. I ran for the first time in a billion years at that gym. I told the gym owner, I am not a runner. I am not an athlete. I can't do that. But then I ran and I did okay, and I didn't go that slow. And then on Saturday we went and we were doing basically like a trial run of the sporting event we were training for, which did involve a few miles, and a lot of it was going to be running and some of it was going to be obstacles like monkey bars and climbing a rope. And I went down to this local park and I did this run, and I did it. I ran the whole time because there was people around me that were running and I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to not be as good as them, because for my whole life I had felt like I was not as good as the person next to me, and that wasn't going to happen anymore. So I started thriving off of the competition of working out at a group training gym, and in June of 2017 I competed in this sporting event I had been training for, and I realized that that was my happy place, and that being competitive made me feel whole and it made me feel confident. And that is honestly when everything changed for me. I became a more confident person. I felt so confident in myself, and so I stuck with it. I stayed at that group training gym, and I couldn't really afford to do any more of those sporting events that year, but I thought about it and I was excited for the next year. I was excited to go back and see what I could do. That year I did gain some weight back, I believe. Like, I got to 175. I think I maintained it for like a year or so, and then by the next year I think I had maybe gained like 10-15 pounds. Because I still was having a hard time figuring out, like, okay, I'm doing all this work. So I was working out 5 days a week for an hour at this gym, and then I was doing some other stuff on top as well. On Saturdays we were doing some running type events, and so I'd been working out a lot, and so I was eating more, but then I think I was overeating, and that balance took me a really long time to figure out. And then I think I was under eating sometimes. I wasn't fueling my body. Like, I was burning all these calories, and I was like, oh man, I burned 4,000 calories. Cool, I'll eat 2,000 today, and then I can lose weight faster. That was a real problem that I had, and I was making my body so hungry, and I was making my body hold on to everything I was eating, probably because it thought it was starving. So I did struggle with that situation probably for like a year and a half of probably under fueling for the amount of work I was doing. But I started doing more research on like eating for somebody who was running and working out the way that I was. So fast forward, from June 2017 to June 2018, I stayed at this group training gym. My weight did fluctuate a little bit, but I was so happy. I felt so confident going to this gym and being strong, and I made all of these gym friends, and my life was just changing in great ways. I started a PhD program. My general relationships in life had just changed so much. And so then in June of 2018, I did that same sporting event again, and I did really well. I was so proud of myself, and I wanted to do more that year. So I did, and I actually bumped up to racing at the competitive level because I didn't want to race in the heat, and everybody told me if I did this race in Utah and it was hot, I was going to die. So I was like, okay, I'll do competitive level. So that meant that obstacles that I had gotten assistance on before at the open level race, I couldn't. So I did what I needed to do to be successful. I got on YouTube, I researched the obstacles, I figured out how to do them, I talked myself up, I told myself I could do it, I studied them, I thought about all the things that I needed to do to be successful in this sport, in the same way that I had with losing weight. And when I was losing weight, I was always setting goals for myself. It was, if you can stick to these workouts this week, you can buy this pair of shoes. If you stick to these goals this week, then you can have some lazy time on this day. I didn't reward myself with food. That was something that I really tried not to do because I knew in the past when I ate low carb, that was a big problem for me, that first weight loss round. So I would reward myself in other ways. And I told my friends about what I was doing. I actually started a group on Facebook where I was posting about my weight loss journey. I was posting before and after pictures. Originally, I honestly started that group because I was trying to sell a supplement, and I quickly realized, no, I don't need this supplement. I need me. I need my brain. I need my heart. I need me to be successful in this, and that is all I need. So I didn't do that supplement, but I kept this group on Facebook, and there were a lot of girls in there who were also trying to, go on weight loss journeys, and we would all post things and we would lift each other up. And telling somebody about what you're doing, even if it's a camera, in posting it on social media, even if it's your journal, that is a very good way to be successful in weight loss. That is literally, or in any goal, honestly, in any goal, any way of changing a habit, to tell somebody about it and then to self-monitor by tracking things in an app or writing things down. That will definitely help you be successful. And I did those things. I definitely took a lot of the things I had learned from my psychology courses, which is what I'm getting my PhD in, and I applied those to my life and to my weight loss and fitness success. I competed in, I believe, 3 competitive events in 2018, and I didn't do great, but I didn't do terrible. I didn't get last, and I was like, wow, maybe I can be good at this thing. So I stuck with it, and I did feel really defeated. Sometimes my last race I did in 2018 went really bad, but it gave me the fire. I was like, I can be good at this. I know I can, and I truly believe that if I just put my mind to it, and if I tried, I could do it. Just like with weight loss, I put my mind to it. I took the steps that I needed to, and I did it. And I am so lucky that I don't have any health issues or anything like that. But I did have life. I did have obstacles I had to overcome. There were times when the weight loss was hard. There were times when I wanted to give up. But I didn't, because I realized that mentally I literally am capable of anything. I just have to want it and take the steps to make it happen. So fast forward to 2019, I continued working out at this group training gym, and I continued my sport, which I will talk about in another video, but some people likely won't be interested in that, so I don't want to make that the main focus of this video, but it is a huge part of who I am and why I am the person that I am now. So in 2019, I did a race in March, and I did terribly. It was awful. I actually raced 2 days in a row, and I did like crap, and I felt really bad about myself. And I was like, you need to get your butt in gear a little bit, but oh yeah, and so in 2018 I actually gained some weight back, and I got up, I remember in like September when I had done a race in Seattle, I had gotten up to about 192 pounds, so I'd almost gained 20 pounds back. I had actually sold my house and been living at my brother's and just kind of enjoying life. I was actually working part-time because I had started the PhD program. I was barely working at all, kind of just enjoying life, and I was still working out, but I started running a lot that summer and realized that I loved running. I ran every Saturday, and it was something I fell in love with that I never thought I could, that I was told that I couldn't. Literally, my trainer told me. I told him, I want to learn to love running, and he said, you can't. If you don't like it, you just won't. Well, I learned to love running, and running is a huge part of who I am today. And so I was just kind of like living at my brother's, enjoying life, eating meals and stuff with them, which they eat actually pretty healthy. But I just wasn't like weighing my food and stuff anymore. And so I did gain some weight, and that's okay. It was kind of part of my process of learning like what I needed to do to fuel my body, and what like different athletic events and stuff were going to require of me nutritionally. So 2019, I moved into my own apartment, and I kind of got like really back on track with like weighing out my food and portioning and stuff. And I remember I was like around 180 something when I did really bad at that race in March, and I was like, okay, you know, I think I'm a little bit overweight right now, and I would like to lose some weight, not because of the way I looked. I wanted to lose weight because I felt that that's what I needed to do in order to be stronger at something that I really loved. And so I put in the work, and I did. A couple months in, I lost weight again. I lost like another 15, 20 pounds by like fall of 2019. Decided like in April of 2019 to get an extra trainer basically outside of my group training that was specific to my sport. Things really changed for me at that point. I still was missing a little bit of the mental aspect, and I still was thinking like the fat girl. And she really taught me that it couldn't be all about food. I couldn't focus on food, that I was an athlete now, and that I had to eat like an athlete. And nobody had ever told me that. She told me, like, you are no longer eating to lose weight. You need to eat like an athlete. You need to fuel your body. So I started doing that, and I got this watch. This is a Garmin, and I didn't have my precious Fitbit app to track calories anymore. I freaked out. I was texting her nonstop, like, what am I going to do? I might gain weight. How am I going to track it? I don't know if I can have this watch. I don't know what I can do. I'm going to get fat again. I freaked out over a watch. I am not kidding you. I had like a mental breakdown over this watch, which is now my love. I love this thing. But I was worried about food still, and I did not realize that I was so focused on food still. And so that was disappointing. But in like June 2019, I threw the calories out the door basically, because I tried it with this watch and it just wasn't going the same way. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm an athlete. I need to eat like an athlete. Food isn't a big thing anymore. I eat gummy bears. I have candy sometimes. Sometimes I eat huge plates of pasta. Yes, I burn a lot of calories. I work out 7 days a week. I have a very, very active lifestyle. And so the things that I eat aren't going to be things that everybody can eat. They're what I eat to fuel my body most of the time. Sometimes I just eat things because it makes me happy. And it is hard to not get in my head sometimes and start thinking about, like, if I don't work out one day because I'm recovering from something, or if I'm injured, it's really hard not to be like, okay, you can hardly eat today because you didn't work out. But I've gotten much better at that. I have not restricted myself. And there are times where I indulge, and then I'm like, oh God, that made me feel like crap. And that's another thing that I should add that I love about working out, is that if I eat bad, I feel bad when I work out. My workouts, my runs do not go well if I ate bad. For one, it can give me a massive stomach ache. Or for two, I just feel, ugh. So that's the great thing about having fitness and food work together. The better you eat, the better you feel when you work out. And then the more you work out, usually the more you want to eat well. So I would seriously encourage anybody who's wanting to go on a weight loss journey to find something, whether it's sport or some fitness activity, whether it's YouTube videos of workouts, find something else to go with your weight loss. Because if you are focusing only on weight loss and you're focusing only on wanting to look good, you're probably not going to be successful, or you're going to succeed like me, and then you're going to gain it all back and have to go through it again. I lost 100 pounds twice, and I am just now finally happy 9 years later. And a lot of that is because of my sport, and a lot of that is because of fitness. I am a confident person. I am happy with me. I am happy with who I am. And I don't ever want to let anybody bring me down. I don't ever want to let anybody let me feel worth less than I am. And there are some times where I find myself reverting to that mindset. Now that I have lost the weight and I have found that I am good at things and that I am strong and capable and that I can do anything I want, I am never going to not voice how I feel or what I need. So I would encourage everybody who has goals, whether it's weight loss or fitness, to get out there, get started, tell your friends, write them down, really think about where you are mentally. Don't just look at how your clothes are fitting. Don't just look at the food on your plate. If you want to weigh food and if you want to track calories and all that, that's totally fine if that's what it works for you. But do not let those things overpower you mentally. There were some times that I definitely got in bad places with food. There were times where I would be like, okay, I'm not going to eat because I have to go to this barbecue later, or I'm not going to go to this barbecue later because I already ate too much today. And that's really unhealthy. Just remember to eat to fuel your body. It's okay to have treats sometimes, but also if you set goals for yourself, stick to them. If you tell yourself that you are going to do these things for the week, do them. And don't give up on yourself, though. If you fall off the wagon one day, I encourage you to not be like, well, I already ate bad, I'm going to eat everything. I already didn't work out today, so I'm not going to work out all week. Every day is a new day. Every moment is a new moment. Do not let one mistake keep you from progressing. Thank you guys for joining me here today. I hope you will come back and see me on my channel. I'm going to be giving videos of foods that I eat. I'm probably going to talk more about my journey of my sport, and I will just be talking about so many different things. Sometimes weight loss, sometimes lifestyle, but honestly for me, it all goes together. My weight loss journey made me who I am today, and I really am so glad that you guys tuned in today. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and please subscribe below if you want to see more. Bye!